it may just be through lack of education. It may just be through sheer ignorance. A lot of people don't know who their councillor is half the time. So there is that as well. But you did touch on the diversity side of things here. And I think it's important because we're on a radio station here that obviously speaks out to to our diverse communities here in Plymouth, is put yourself forward. Put yourself forward. Next elections, I think in Plymouth the next year or the year after, put yourself forward.
Okay, that's a good point. That's a good point you mentioned there. You talk about representation. I'll come back to that one in a minute. But I'm still on that conversation with you in terms of the role. What is the councillor role? But also now you've explained it. What's the role of the councillor? What is the job they do, and all that. My second question, what I want you to explain to individuals is, we are coming to elections next week.
Next Thursday.
What are these elections?
Okay.
Who's been elected? And if you can cover, I know you are based in Torquay and you cover the Tobe ward, you've mentioned that, but can you cover for both Plymouth, because we're Plymouth based? So, can you cover who's being elected?
Okay.
And how does it happen?
Okay, so for Plymouth, so I'm going to particularly focus on Plymouth here. I think it's important. So in Plymouth, next Thursday, a third of the council seats are up for grabs. So you will have in your wards down here in Plymouth, you will have representatives from the usual political parties, and you will have independents. So some areas are 2-seat areas, some areas are 3-seat areas, some areas are 1-seat areas. And then it's down to the public, it's down to the likes of you and me, basically, or the people sitting at home. It's down to them to obviously read the literature that comes through and to research whose views you align with to take Plymouth forward. Okay, and then they will last for I think in Plymouth they will last for 3 years, I think it is. So if they're elected on Friday, then they last 3 years.
They last 3 years.
I think so, top of my head.
It's very important. So if those going on the ballot on Friday, I mean next week Thursday, once they're in a position, unless the other mechanism happening in place, so because someone is not there for eternal, but they're there for the next 3 years. So these are the people.
In Plymouth, I believe it's for the next 3 years.
These are the people who are going to be your voice for the next 3 years. So it's very important for people to vote.
It's so important for people to vote. But sadly, in local politics, in local governance politics, turnout. The people coming out to vote is getting lower and lower and lower.
People are not coming out to vote.
People are not coming out to vote.
Do you think it's because we don't understand it? We don't see the importance of it?
I think in part a lot. Okay, let's put this into some context, Javo. So I think since 2016, we've had probably 5-6 elections. And I'm talking local elections. We've had local elections. We've had 3 parliamentary elections as well. The EU referendum on top of that. And I think we're at a stage now where people have just switched off. They're fatigued. They're fatigued, okay? And I think a lot of people, especially a lot of working class people as well, they are very switched off at the moment.
Yes.
And because partly they've been promised, oh yeah, we'll lower your taxes 1 year. And then obviously, bang, government put the taxes up the next year. So a lot of people I find, the working class voters, are disillusioned basically with the system.
With the system. Wow, this is interesting conversation for those.
Very interesting conversation.
Yes.
But I do want to stress also, if you are going to vote next week, there are new voter ID laws that have been put in place. You can check that out via the plymouth.gov.uk website, or you can go to the Electoral Commission. But you do need to take some form of photo ID with you if you are going to vote on the day.
There you go. So you heard it. You need to take your ID to vote. This is the first time it's happening in England. Before, you just have to have your electoral ballot paper, and they check you on the electoral register. and then you are in to vote. But now you need to take an ID, an official ID, either your passport, your driving license.
Or you need to take some sort of, there's a voter ID authority certificate. But I think the cutoff to that has just gone. So it would be a passport, driving license along those lines. And if you're off the older, off the more mature age, if you like, then I believe you can use your bus passes as well.
Oh, wow, this is really good. Well, we'll continue that conversation, Jermaine. But the progress we're doing, this is a business talk.
Of course.
Most of the time we talk about businesses. So I run a business. I run more than one. Why should I be interested or finding out or being involved in politics? Or shall I say, because the language most of the time saying, I don't want to be mingling with the politics because I don't know if the red or the blue fight goes on, and sideline with one color and it's the other one in power. Is my business being affected?
So your business doesn't matter whether it's red, blue, yellow, green, whatever, who gets in. Your business is going to be affected by their policies one way or another. Sometimes it could be positively, other times it can be negatively. But I do believe, let's put it this way, there are quite a few people that I know in local government who run their own business, who are local councillors, they run their own businesses as well. And it's good to have that business perspective as well.
Yeah.
So it gives it that different angle, you see. So for me, I would say the best thing for people to do, especially if you run a business, is it's also to do with how it aligns with you. How do the political parties or an individual's views align with your own personal views, let alone also your business views and ethics as well.
So it's crucial. It's important for a business individual. So maybe let me clarify a little bit more when we talk about business for those who are listening to us. So we look at someone who's decided to invest their time, their finances on a public domain. It can be a high street, it can be online. When you are putting all that for open to everyone, so that you can generate more income to you, that's a business person. And your role is you are playing an economical change landscape of where you are.
Yes.
But now politics as well is there. So it's really crucial for a business person to be aware or be part of this.
Either way, to be aware or to be part of it, because obviously you want your business to be able to contribute to the local economy, because it's how local economies survive, or it originally is how local economies survive would be through your small, medium-sized businesses. So I do think it's important for business people, and people in general, just to engage with the political process.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much for that conversation, Councillor Jermaine. We are talking about business and politics, and we're coming up soon to our local election in Plymouth. So again, we say, please join us, ask questions, talk to us. We are live on different platforms. We are live on Facebook. We are live on YouTube, on both P-Town Radio and DBI. If you have any question, please drop us there. We'll be able to read and answer you. The Councillor Jermaine will be able to answer you if I cannot answer that question. Ask a question in politics, ask a question in business. We'll be able to answer that. Also, you can text us on 07835 490010. We're just going to take a 1 minute break while we're trying our technology, how it works, and see how it goes, and put some jingle on. Yeah. So bear with us just a second. We're going to put some music on. we're back. We're trying our technology, and it seems to be working well. Please, if there is any, if you saw us doing our show and demonstrating the images we're trying to put on, please let us know if we're back live and you can see us. So really good. Really exciting. Thank you to our team, DBI back office. They are doing amazing work to create all these graphics and making it happening, and it looks very professional. We started just a small station playing around, but now we have the technology in place. Things are moving smoothly. We can put bricks on and all that. So yes, thank you. So my name is Joe Butera, saying your host today, but also in the room we have my colleague, Councillor Germain Atiala, a good friend of us, a councillor, as you can see for the title, in Torbay, in Torquay particularly, in the ward of Elcombe. And we are having a conversation around how business and politics works, because we are coming soon to the moment of election next week here in the Southwest. As we were talking earlier on, for those just following us, we started about 12, and we'll be rolling off in the next 15 minutes. But before we go off, I wanted us to have a conversation around representation. Mm-hmm. You hear a lot challenges. The representation in terms of ethnical representation. So this radio particularly is a diverse radio. Technically, most of them say diversity, but I'm talking about inclusivity and equity. This is a radio, if you hear from our music and the presentation we do is individual from the Black and Asian community, mainly presenters, and talking about what is their interest, what is their heart, what they want to see happening. So representation. And in politics, representation is still very low. And my brother, and Akoled again, you are, introduce yourself in terms of your ethnic representation in the politics in the Southwest.
Thank you very much indeed. And for people who didn't tune in earlier, my name is Councillor Germain Atiala. So I'm on part mixed background really. So I'm part Nigerian and part English. And I'm Torbay's first ever black councillor.
There you go.
There we go. I don't get that often.
So it's really, really it's important, representation, because you see many places today they're talking about they need representation, either being on the television, either being in sports, either being in businesses, either being in local authorities, and in politics. Representation is important. How many other councillors do you know in Torbay or in Plymouth? I'm not asking you to give names. I'm just saying in terms of numbers. Do we have like a 10 from the BME community?
If I'm looking at probably Torbay and Plymouth and perhaps Exeter, I reckon we're probably about 4, maybe 5. It could be even lower as 2.
So we're less than 10.
We're less than 10.
Less than 10. And in the whole numbers, in terms of numbers in the political arena, how many councillors do you think we have if you combine both Plymouth and Torbay?
I still think would be less than 10.
No, I mean others. We're talking about thousands of councillors?
No. You're talking, I think we're talking close to 100.
100 councillors.
So there's 36 seats in Torbay, and I'm not too sure how many seats there are in Plymouth, but I reckon it's about 52. So we're probably talking towards 100.
Towards 100. And it's still less than 5.
Yeah. Don't quote me on that.
Yes,
I think it's,
but again, our opinion is not the radio opinion. Again, it's this our personal opinion, and I think I agree with you on those numbers. We're still very small representation.
Yes.
We have that challenge of representation, and I think it's one of the reasons why you don't see many of other young people thinking I want to go in politics, because they don't see someone who look like them who've been on that same journey.
Absolutely, I totally agree with you with that one. It is, and it's the same thing that happened throughout the Black Lives Matter movement. Is you had a lot of these organizations putting out statements, and some were tokenistic, by the way.
Yes.
Quite a few were tokenistic. And they were like, yes, well, we want our local authority or our business or our college to basically look like our, looks like our communities. And it's like, yeah, well, it's great because anyone can slap out a press release and say that, but it's how do you build that base? You've got to build it from the bottom up at the end of the day. And I suppose I think I can actually probably convert my own personal journey with this one here.
Right.
So before 2019,
Yes,
and I'm talking in Torbay here, before 2019, there had never been a black councillor or a councillor from an ethnic minorities from a non-white perspective, I'm talking about here, on the council.
before 2019.
Before 2019.
Gosh, 2,000 years.
Probably.
Politics.
I mean, I've been trying since 2007, but there we go.
Yeah, but let me say, if I look at the history,
Yes.
the history of politics of England is 1,000 years old.
And the rest.
Yeah.
The rest. Yeah.
But they never had that representation there until 2019 when you came on the scenery.
So they didn't have that representation until 2019.
Okay.
And the beauty about it was when you have people on from diverse backgrounds, it gives it a whole different perspective. And the problem you've also got with politics is it's mainly white, and it's people probably in their early 50s, 60s, as well.
Yeah.
And that's not really I don't believe that actually represents the communities very well.
So I think it's just the same conversation we're having about the businesses representation as well in the city we live in the Southwest. And not only we have this challenge of representation in terms of just the numbers anyway, the BME community representative we're still around 5%, maximum is 8% of the population. But it's also in the decision making, it's also in the business sector. How many of individuals from the BME community you can look up to say these are responsible entrepreneurs, million turnover company?
Yeah, and there's very few.
There is none.
There is none. In fact,
if there is any, quote me wrong. Point me to the right direction and I'll find them.
Let's put it this way. I think there's very few. But it's not only that. You also need to look at how many black and minority ethnic people are at the top table in some of these FTSE 250 companies. So we have to look at it from a bigger perspective as well. Very, very few. I think it's roughly about 5%, in fact, to be honest.
So we need to continue this inspirational conversation so that we can inspire the next generation to take a place on the seat.
We need to educate and we need to inspire, and we also need to drive this. So the beauty of what I've done in Torbay, and it brings us on quite nicely in a minute to our thinking, but what I've done in Torbay is we've now got a Sikh guy who's standing for council for us.
Right.
So he will be if we can get him elected next week, he'll be the first Sikh councillor. He's a business owner in Torquay.
Oh, fantastic.
Well. So
he's a business owner.
Yes.
And then he's also sitting in the politics.
Yes.
This is really good. That's why we're talking about business in politics.
Yes.
Business and politics.
Yes.
A lot of people think they don't go together. But here you're telling us, yes, these are two components that are intermarried.
Yes. Well, he had no choice in the end because but after I had to be, I was having a conversation with him one day and he was moaning about the town. I was like, okay, there's elections. And this was 6 months ago.
Yes.
And I said, look, there's elections coming up in May. Have you actually thought about standing as a candidate yourself? Be part of the change at the end of the day, because we can all sit at home, read a newspaper and then start moaning.
I like that.
But actually for me,
you being part of the change.
Yeah.
Can you point on that? Because what we have most of the time, we tend to push it to someone else. We blame someone else.
So for me,
we throw it to the council. It's the councillor's problem, not my problem.
Yeah, and so it's about educating people, going, well, actually, it's not our problem as well. It's actually all of our problem.
Yes.
So instead of, and I used to have someone who used to badger me, who used to complain, oh, yes, you did this and you did that.
Yes.
And I was like, no, I didn't. And I was like, look, you got two choices. The elections are coming in May. You either shut up or you put your money where your mouth is and you stand for election.
That's really good point of looking at it. So representation is important.
Representation in
important.
all walks of life, not just politics, but also in business, it's oh so important.
Coming to that, we talk about representation, and thank you for joining us. For those who have been following us, so we have Councillor Jermaine Atiala from the Bay, what they call
Torbay Council.
They call it the Riviera,
English Riviera.
Riviera.
Yes.
So I always dream about that English Riviera, and then you're thinking about Monaco, Nice.
Yes,
you think about I can see the red carpet, and I can hear the Maserati going up on the hill. I can see those big yachts.
Maseratis.
It's really good to dream, because you call me English Riviera, I can compare it only to the French Riviera.
Oh yeah.
Because there's no an Italian Riviera. No, they have their gondolas.
They do indeed.
So I've traveled the world.
Yeah, I'm not going to dispute with you, John.
the Riviera it's a French.
Yes,
the French Riviera is well known for that.
Yeah, Nice, Monaco.
Yes,
stunning part of the world. Glamorous as well.
Yeah, Cannes.
Cannes.
Yes.
You're driving around in your £186,000
Ferrari. Yeah.
There we go. I could, I've got pictures of myself doing that right now, but there we go.
Good. So we're living in the English Riviera. You are a councillor in English Riviera.
Yes.
And you saw this challenge of representation missing, and particularly the economical voice was missing. So you've been part of this journey happening in English Riviera, Torbay. Tell us about it. What is it?
So the beauty about it is, so we obviously went from 2020 when we had the Black Lives Matter movement.
Right.
And I think I sat there, like I said to you, I was reading all these, we want our council, we want our college, we want our, our businesses to represent, to make it look like our organizations are representative of the communities that we live in. And it's like, okay, yeah, great. But how are you going to do that? How are you going to do that? Like I said, anyone can slap a press statement out there, but it's how you actually build it. And one of our main key working programs over the last 4 years in Torbay has been turning the tide on poverty.
Right.
And I turned around to my council leader, Councillor Darling, who is visually impaired himself. So there's another area of representation right there. And I said to him, it's all very well focusing. The problem is, we're talking about turning tide on poverty, but we're talking for only one demographic here.
Yes.
And actually, we've seen what's happened. And I had this conversation in May and June of 2020. And I said, you've seen what's happened over the last. I said, you've seen what's happened over the last month. And it's basically brought up a lot of, if you like, social and racial injustice in this country from the last 30 years. It brought it right up to the top of the agenda. And I said, now's our chance to actually make some inroads on this one.
Right.
And basically, we've gone from there. I set up the Torbay Racism Review, and that's a cross-party panel that lasted about 2 years. But that was, that was us examining the public and private sector to see obviously what challenge, and also to find out what challenges that people have. And I'm talking everyday members of the public here, okay? And it's finding out what is the BME community, their experiences of racism, but also their challenges, and it may well be challenges, accessing healthcare, just even your basic dentists or GPs, for example, or education, or even mental health services, where a lot of people from the BME community suffer from high degrees of mental health. And it may also and one thing that came across loud and clear through the racism review was in terms of there was nothing really there to help black and minority ethnic businesses. Yes. And so one of the key planks or key recommendations out of there was to try and create a network. Yes. And I saw what I was on your website one day, and I was looking around thinking, okay, we need to bring some people in here to help. And I thought, actually, I'm trying to look for someone who's quite local here, or local-ish, shall I say. And I saw your website. I saw the Diversity Business Incubator website, and how can I put this? It sounds a bit weird, but I actually just fell in love with it. I just fell in love with your ethos. Yes. and what you do, and it aligns with my views, and it also aligns with what we're trying to achieve as a Liberal Democrat independent administration in Torbay.
Right.
And that is community partnership, collaboration.
Yes.
And I suppose from there, Jabbo, really, it just took off. We had many meetings with the TDA, that's the Torbay Development Agency, and officers of the council who were, because we had the political. This is the key thing here for people to understand.
Right.
We had the buy-in from parts of the community. We had it from the large parts of the community.
Yep.
But we had the political leadership, and we also had the officer leadership as well. So we had buy-in from everyone, and that's key. And from there, as you know, Jabbo, me and you had sat down and had many meetings with officers to try and achieve. Yeah, some of it was painful, absolutely.
Yes.
And it was a lot of hard work to get to where we've got to today. And then from there, we've managed to set up the Torbay Inclusive Business Network.
Well, you deserve an upload for that. The Torbay Inclusive Business Network.
But also the key thing is, you deserve a round of applause for that too. Because without your support here, we would not be able to do it on the scale that we're doing it. And we're growing.
Wonderful.
And we are absolutely growing from where I know last August in 2020, we started off with like an initial event.
Yeah.
We probably had, 10, 15 people turned up. And just in our last one, what was it, last week? Week before?
The week before, yes.
Before, wasn't it? We probably had a good 30 or 40.
30, yeah, the room was
30
crammed.
or 40 people.
Yes.
And it wasn't just people, the leader of the council's been along twice, 3 times now.
Yes.
It's very supportive. We've had the director, who's a black person himself. We've had our director of public health come along. We got the TDA involved, the business advisors.
Yes.
But we've also now got, and it is so thrilling to see that we've also got, a lot of black and minority ethnic business. I didn't realize, actually, to be honest, how many black and minority ethnic owned businesses we had in Torbay, and just seeing different people come along.
Yes.
I take my energy from that, knowing that we're doing the right thing.
Yes.
And I know me and you're going to have to sit down at some point to just go, okay, how can we take this to the next level?
Yeah.
How can we drive this? We've got 30 people. We've got 30 solid people on board now.
Yes.
But, I at least want to see 100 people. I do. So for me, and it's just been that journey I've been on for the last 2 years, and you've joined in the last 12 months.
Yes.
Just seeing from where we've gone to where we are now. My God, did I ever expect it to turn out in the most positive way it is now?
That's amazing.
And honestly, I've had the privilege over the last couple of months, to actually go and visit some of these locally minority ethnic owned businesses in Torbay. So I've been to go and see Karen, who owns Mini Collab.
Yes.
She's probably going to have a go. If she's listening, she's probably going to have a go for the way I pronounce that. But I've also had the chance to go and see an Ethiopian restaurant as well.
Oh, yes. Hannah? Yes, Hannah, yeah.
Yes, absolutely. And also the great thing is I've also been able to, at the networking event, is talk to, I think it was Mary, who's only just recently arrived in the United Kingdom.
Yes.
She set up she's got her, and she's...
hairdressing?
No.
That's Karen. Karen is the one doing hairdressing.
No, Karen's not the one doing hairdressing. Karen's the one who does the sustainable clothing.
Oh, yes.
Mary's the one who's the estate agent.
Estate agent is from Brazil. Yes.
The
enthusiastic, very, yes.
Yeah, the determination of that individual has been absolutely amazing. And from the contact that I have had since, because she's trying to find connections here and there, she's driven. She wants to succeed in the Bay, and she will do whatever it takes. And then also we've had who else also? We also had we've had quite a few people.
Rian is a great.
Rian
is the great ambassador of all that. So, But those are the name you're dropping. Those are the
There are
representation we're
There's
talking about. That's the focal point we're talking about, and this is what we're trying to build. But time is running out for us. Sadly, we've been here for the time we're supposed to be here. It has been a great time to talk about this. Maybe just recapping. We're talking about how business and politics works, and particularly this time next week, the 4th of May.
You'll be up with me.
The South region is on the election. Be part of the solution.
Yes.
And this, by coming part of this conversation, that you'll be able to influence the change you want to be happening. So it has been a great conversation with our friends and brother, Councillor Germain. Again, this is a business talk. It's not, we're not campaigning or voting or asking to vote for so and so. It's your own opinion, it's your own vote, it's your own voice, it's your own right. We were just talking about what the influence of the businesses in politics and what's the influences of the politics in the business and vice versa, and how it's important to have that representation in the Southwest where we are.
Absolutely.
So I think I've summarized it well. Do you have something you want to tell? The last part you can tell people.
I would just say to people, get yourselves involved in your communities. Whether you want to stand for council yourself, that's your choice. But even if it's just get yourself involved in your local community groups, you can also make that change that way, and that's through a collaboration through the council and the community at the end of the day. Because without having those two collaborating, you cannot build an army at the end of the day, or you cannot build a community properly. So I would say to people, get yourselves involved, no matter how much input you have or not. That's the way to start at the end of the day. But I will say thank you very much indeed for having me today, Jabbo. I'm looking forward to the next. I'll tell you what we need to do is we need to actually do a live show from Torquay at some point with some of our Black and minority-owned businesses.
Well, this radio is a mobile radio. It can go places. So it's an online radio. So again, P-Town Radio is a mobile radio. It's online radio. You download the app, you'll be able to listen to us everywhere around the world.
Absolutely.
That's the same way we can be able to broadcast from many places. Thank you for the invitation. Maybe we'll work on that
I think we should.
With my colleague Tendai. I'm giving a shout to my colleague Tendai who's listening to us. He could not join us today with this conversation. I would love to be here. But as a hardworking man, he deserves a break.
Absolutely.
So he's taking time to have a break. And it's a well-deserved break. So well done, young man. Call him a young man. But it's been an honor, a pleasure of meeting you. And may the 4th be with you. That's what a lot of people have been using. But we shall see you on the other side. And soon after the election, we're going to probably call you again to come and talk about why it's important to have representation and how to inspire the next generation to come into this, because that's what we do in the business talk. We're encouraging individuals to join businesses, to become entrepreneurs, becoming the decision makers, not the decision or that someone is making the decision on your behalf.
Yes.
You need to be part of it, part of the solution. Councillor Germain, thank you very much.
Thank you very much indeed.
And for those who've been listening to us, it has been a wonderful, fantastic Friday and a wonderful weekend. It's a long weekend because
for me it will be.
it's a bank holiday weekend. So back to work on Tuesday. For many people.
Yes. I shall say, yeah. But I will be campaigning through the weekend.
Well, it's a busy weekend for you.
It's the final week, so it's a final push now.
Until then, my friend, take care.
Thank you very much.